Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. Have I unmuted myself? I have. That's handy. No, wouldn't have really mattered if I hadn't had it. Anyway, well, here we are then. Ian, you weren't here last week. Tell us about why the Mavic 3 is the best thing ever and everybody loves it.
It is. It is. Everyone should buy one.
Oh, there we go then. Good.
Only one?
Excellent. Only one.
I tell you what, it is interesting. There's quite a few discounts around this week. Even today, there's discounts around on the system right now, which has surprised me.
What, on the 3?
On the 3. Did you? I don't know what you guys spoke about. Sorry, I was away last week traveling, and I didn't get back till late.
Gypsy. Yeah.
I started watching it and realized it went on for 2.5 hours. I'm surprised any of our audience carry things to that. And I thought, I'll listen to that on the way back. And even I got bored of it. I started listening. I thought, I'll have to watch this later.
Set the playback speed to 2 times and it's only 90 minutes.
To be honest, I had some other stuff I had to deal with. So no. But did you talk, obviously DJI have extended the warranty, which is a interesting move. And they've not said why. Well, they have said why. They want to look after their customers. I think the reality is, my feeling is, and I've said this elsewhere, is probably to stem RMAs. At the end of the day, if there are people unhappy online, that doesn't hurt the bottom line. So that doesn't really affect things. However, if RMAs are beginning to happen and people are returning them, I'm guessing they would want to stem that because that hurts. It's product that's been sold and money having to go back. And it's a bigger problem for them and dealers because obviously dealers are then having to give money back and then they've got to get credit from DJI and it becomes very messy. It's not so bad when you're selling direct because look, they have a key refresh system. They'll use all of these craft that go back. Someone will screw one into the ground and want to claim on their key refresh. So they won't worry too much about that, but it's the dealer side. That's what hurts. But no, we've had the warranty extension. I think things have settled a bit. We have a better understanding now. Philip Bloom put an astounding review out on the product. If no one has seen it, that is the one to watch from a true photographers and videographers point of view. And he just picks up all of the main problems, the workflow issues, the main other issues. He's got a second part due. What is really interesting, and he has alluded to this, and others are saying it now as well, is no one's really seeing the benefit in the Cine model. The image quality in the Cine is actually not really any quantifiable difference better than H.265 on the standard model. The only benefit you get is you getting it in ProRes up front, which some people will want, so they're going to want that, but it's not about the image quality. That you're not really getting a benefit for that extra $2,000 whatever it is dollars, which is strange because it should be night and day. And it almost alludes to there's an amount of processing going on before the image is even hitting the raw codecs, let alone the SD card codec. But yeah, I think it's probably been the roughest launch they've had in a long time I can remember. I'm not saying it's a bad product because I don't think it is. It's half finished. There's no one can argue in any shape or form that it isn't half made right now. And that's where the noise is. It's not that it's particularly bad, but it's like selling a car and saying the power steering, the radio,
the self-drive
stuff's going to come in 6 months' time. So, yeah, and they caught a lot of people off guard with it. And that's what's hurt. And it's because of the reviews. The reality is, it's that.
Well, do you think they've got an absolute army of people getting a firmware update in for January, which the whole world has convinced itself that's when it's coming for everything? Everything will be fixed.
Yeah, there's been a leaked date, and they've now extended the warranty by the exact period of time to match that date. Yet it seems all very in stone, which is weird. Do you know what I mean? Is that a deadline, or have they said? It feels weird to say we're going to bring a firmware out in 2.5 months exactly that fixes all of these things. Is that a deadline? Yeah. Is that a goal? Could that shift? I'm still shocked it ended up out like this for the size of the company they are. For they're not Autel, they're not any of the smaller companies who've been playing at this. Skydio, this is the third generation of
Skydio
their
were the
flagship
cheapest
product.
they've ever been, haven't they? Over they were 995
Yeah,
over the Black Friday and all that.
it is. But this is the third generation, yet it feels like the first one they've ever made. And the reality is, it is, because what this absolutely stinks of is what is always DJI's biggest problem: is they throw everything out and start again with a whole new team of people, with a whole new team of, and this is the problem. And this time it feels like it's hurt them more than ever. It'll be a great drone. It is a great drone. In February, it will be the best drone you can buy probably for the next 3 years. Autel aren't getting anyway. We haven't even got the cheaper models from Autel right now.
CES. It looks like those are coming out. I've seen stuff. It looks like they're going to run that at CES, and we're beginning to have the annual what's the names and what to call them, the thingy big bowl winner at CES. And if you've been in this industry any amount of time, you know that anything that picks up an award at CES is normally gone by the following CES. What was off? Well, yeah, both that.
It's because they've spent all their money bribing the judges.
Well, yes, that fellow.
Dinner the night before.
The Canadian fellow. I've even forgotten the name of the thing that we're all still waiting for on a Kickstarter that morphed and changed. And he delivered arms and.
You're talking about the Plexi Drone.
That's it, that Plexi Drone. That's it.
That's still a thing, Gary. How dare you say that is not a product? In fact, that is slanderous. Right. It is shocking. They're still developing that.
What's the what was that floating thing as well? That was also a CES winner, wasn't it?
Was it Lily Drone?
Yeah, Lily Drone. Yeah, there you are. Yeah. And if we rack our brains long enough, we'll remember. And that one that was from Wales. That was another CES winner. That little thing.
Yeah. The
Zano, there we are, CES winner. So anyone that says they're a winner at CES is like, oh dear,
it's going to end badly.
You've not been following along.
Give us a lot of money in it. You
got to wonder
it's crazy
where that comes from. The CES gig. John, I'm very telling when the company's unable to keep talent from leaving. Yeah, well, or were they pushed? I don't know how much. I don't know how much input the American team from last year would have had in this new one.
They never had input. The way DJI released the product is always very straightforward. So it's designed in China entirely. People are sort of told about it who are involved. If you're in a beta group, you might get to hear about it. You might get a little bit of feedback involved. Whilst I'm probably under NDA, I can't comment on the Ronin 4D, for instance. I was involved with the group on that 4 years ago. That's how long that product was in the making. And there was a group of 8 or 9 of us who were involved in the very early stages of talking about it. And that product has been half made for like 4 years. I think they were waiting for the right moment not to finish the product. Because it's a bit of a strange one for the market. And you have some feedback, but at the end of the day, the product is what the product is. It will then go out to testers. They'll give feedback, but there's very little real world changes outside of software. I'll be honest, the US teams and all of that, it's almost, here's the product. This is what we're intending to do. Now go understand it. And yes, you get some feedback going on some software related stuff, but look at the history of issues on DJI products. You've only got to look at the things people have screamed about that haven't changed to show how much influence the US side of people have. So at the end of the day, they will do whatever they do. That is what it is at the end of the day. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. They are in a weird position right now, a weirder position than I've ever seen them in. They've lost almost all of their US-based people who really helped push the brand amongst search and rescue and people who knew people in the industry, and look, take a big name. John McBride has joined Autel. That was a super clever move by Autel, because John was working for one of the big Rimus, one of the big drone companies, and they were involved with DJI heavily, but they were also involved with enterprise support and all of those guys. So it's people like that. It's that network that helped push DJI to where it is. Right now, that network is gone. You know, they're just not there. You have dealers, you have consumers, and you have DJI. And I don't really think they realize how much that has hurt them. And I can list products affected by that. That's affected by that. You know, when I used to beta test. If I'd have beta tested that, I'd have said you can't release that. And if you've got no one saying stuff like that, and it's not just about me, it's about anyone who was doing it. If you've got no one going, this is a really bad idea, then what you end up with is what we're seeing today.
Does it?
And that's
Does
what
it
happened
not?
to any company.
Does it not matter if as soon as you put something out, half the world's paying to buy it?
That works for Apple. However, it remains to be seen if the drone industry will gather that long-term user loyalty is the right term to use. So I'm an iPhone user. It would have to be a really bad iPhone for me not to upgrade at some point in the future. Something crazy would have to happen. I can almost say it's inevitable I'll buy the next 10 phones I'll own will be an iPhone, because unless they do something fundamentally stupid, that's the reality. I don't think DJI are in that position with drones. There is enough in the marketplace for people to go, I don't want to be treated like this. Take today, I've just seen people commenting they can no longer get batteries for the Mavic Pro. So now that's the next product to have entered that level of obsolescence. It was the Inspire 1. Now it's the Mavic Pro, which was 2016. So what are we, 4.5 years down the line?
So we're saying the Mavic 2 Pro batteries are now...
Not 2, Mavic Pro, the original Mavic.
Right, okay.
So not the Mavic 2. The Mavic 2 will probably have a much longer life because it uses the same batteries on the enterprise models as well, which helps.
But what I was going to ask.
Yeah, no, the Mavic Pro. Now, yes, that's an old drone, 2016, but that again is that next level of planned, obsolescence. We're already there. So, and people are beginning to really get tired of this. I've never seen as much kickback of a product that doesn't work with a previous accessory than I have with this smart controller thing. And I actually think they've got really good reason it doesn't work. Now, I've dug into it technically. I understand. And you can't argue with a change has been made. The resources and the requirements are just not there to make it work well. We all understand this industry is a growing industry. That remote launched in 2016, 2017. So it might be 2018. It's quite a long time now. So that's the reality. But I do think they're in someone just said they're too big to fail. No one is too big to fail. Just look at Nokia. Just look at Motorola. People can say companies are too big to fail. No one is too big to fail. I suppose there's one company that's too big to fail, and that's probably one or two. Apple, Microsoft. They have enough money to buy the planet.
Google.
So Google. Yeah, they're big. DJI is still. It's not even Samsung big. Let's look at it that way. It's we've lost the host.
Okay, let's get on with the good stuff now. He's gone.
Right, let's get them out. But no, they're not big. If you were to say what I'm trying to think of a consumer electronics company you could compare DJI to, and from a size point of view, they're not like Sony, are they? They're not like the Samsungs.
GoPro.
Yeah, that's probably a fair position. They're big, but they're certainly not big enough to never fail. So. And Nokia is the big one. I always hop back to Nokia. Who would have ever imagined, as big as Nokia were, they would not be here?
The bigger they are, the harder they fall, eh?
It's interesting, but it's not a bad drone. It's not a good one right now, that's for sure. But it's not a bad one.
Yeah, for me, the thing about the Mavic 3 is because of its weight. When you look at its actual weight, if that aircraft got its C rating, it would be a C1 aircraft. which means you won't even need the A2 C of C. As long as you do not deliberately overfly people, it's going to be fantastic. All they've got to do is give it that little C1 marking because it's under 900 grams. And at that point there, they will change the industry maybe enough to get actually, why would anyone want a CA operational authorization anymore? Why would you want any, you'd have to be, the Mavic 3 Pro, or the Mavic 3, sorry, is so good, that camera, for inspection work and stuff. It will change a lot of things. And a specific category, it could do a lot of harm there, actually. The CA who wants to make money out of people like me and Ian who pay for our operational authorization, we'll all be going, no, I've got a C1 rated aircraft. I don't need to do any certification. All I've got to do is read the manual, have a flyer ID, pay my £9, jobs are good, and get a bit of insurance. It's going to be great in that respect. It will do a lot of harm in other areas of the industry in a specific category. I reckon, anyway. If you're going to fly an M300, then it's a different ballgame, of course.
It could. I just don't know how much they watch the UK. I'm just not convinced
It
they
would
even
be the
care
whole of
about it.
it would be the whole of Europe. It would affect. So it wouldn't.
I'm guessing this one will be. I'm guessing this will be the first one. It's got years ahead of it. If we look at it, it's got years. I think it's no coincidence it's under 900 grams. Yeah. I think that there's an eye on where it needs to go with that. Yeah. Isn't there? There's no question. But it is what it is. There's a real mixed bag online of users who have bought it and are shut up and wait, everyone. All of the features will come. And everyone else is sort of, I'm not really happy with it. We're starting to see some of the bugs and issues appear now. Some of, the usual stuff. There's a few gimbal issues. There's a few, stuff that'll get fixed. Is Gary returned? Oh, we've got...
Well, no, sort of. I think my audio is, but I don't know where my camera went. I'll have to go and find my camera. It's gone.
Someone's stolen your camera.
Oh, no.
Are you using OBS then?
Actually, I like it like
I'm
this.
Not. I'm not. That's the interesting
that
thing.
Thinks you're using OBS.
Well, I'm not. I'll be
well,
back.
Maybe you should
just keep talking. I'll maybe it's a very strong hint. It's a very strong hint. All right, you keep talking, and I'll try and find my camera. Not that it really matters, I suppose.
But it's no. So that's the score. It's not terrible. It's not great. You're beginning to get a lot of people kick back and argue with people online, saying, "Why are you complaining about this? You knew what you were buying." People need to stop apologizing for manufacturers doing stupid things. At the end of the day, it's not right. It's not acceptable. I feel for anyone who spent the money they have on it. But let's be realistic. We know in January, February, it'll be a good drone. If they finally get the app in order and stuff like that, hopefully it'll be all right.
Here's trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right. But really, they should have just held back a few more months. They should not have released it as they have done. That is the shocking thing, Like we all know, it's half baked, isn't it? That release,
it's more than any other model I can remember.
Yeah,
and that's the weirdest thing. It's not just we've had products with bits missing before, but overall, I think it's interesting. It's doing some good stuff when people are using it for good stuff. I still fundamentally, from what I've seen, yes, it's better than the Mavic 2. The image quality is very good. But again, you're at that. It's not that much different. So there's not a good reason to upgrade unless you specifically need something.
Yeah, I don't think they were just trying to push Autel out because Autel has held all these launches pending. They thought we'll just get in first, first come, first serve. We'll capture that market. Because if Autel came out first, then DJI would be seen to be, sort of runner up rather than, first to the market.
I would love to hear. I'd love to know the reason it was done as it was. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to hear that. Was it we had hard? The reality is the hardware was ready. We know that because they launched it. So he's back. Yeah, the hardware was ready. That's why they launched it. So the hardware
could have combed his hair.
I do wonder if there was a concern that the hardware had been sitting around too long, or they wanted to try and recover some of the cost off the factory that they've outlaid. Because look, it's not cheap making these things. It all costs money.
That's cheap. That thing's cheap as chips. That is cheap as chips.
I was deeply impressed this weekend by these little birds. I think Hotel might have a successful vehicle with this. I was very impressed with the ruggedness and reliability of this. So, Bobby, I know it's quite expensive. I don't want one. I was just seeing it for a 2 hours flight time, fully electric. I'm impressed. The camera payload was working fine. The drone flew fine. Everything that you demanded from it was done. So I believe some manufacturers might have things done right. I also had the chance of testing some of the other not plane type like this. The other ones, the Enterprise
so you've seen
ones.
the new ones then? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
You've seen the new ones?
Yeah. So
Oh, there we go.
We had these little toys, and they behave very something that it's boring because it does what is in the specs. Those were the ones. I'm very, very impressed. They seem solid, well built. Not the latest and greatest controllers, but for instance, the Enterprise controller is very nice, very, very nice. I don't have a picture of it, so it just works, and I think that's a compliment. So
I think Autel always have as well. I don't think, what about the only complaint I think anyone has ever really leveled against Autel as a company is getting the product to market. The Evo 2 is solid. The boys who buy it love it.
You can see here the remote.
Yeah.
See the remote here? Very,
It's a bigger version of the smart controller in it. It's quite large. It's really got a big display on it, isn't it?
Big, bright on absolute sunlight. It's quite visible. So kudos to these guys. They did what they intended to do. So
I'm looking forward to these new models. To be honest, I'm still one of. I was meant to get a loan of an Evo 2 Pro. It just never happened. One of the guys I know owns one, and the weather turned, and it wasn't worth me trying it because the weather was frankly horrendous.
There is the Evo 2 Pro 6K and the Evo Enterprise. The Enterprise is even slightly better. I can tell you. From all these years and being a bit cynical about manufacturers' claims, quite interesting birds.
And they do full radiometric as well on their sensors. They're not even messing around, and they were doing radiometric before DJI. So their products are good. They've got some good people in the US working for them, helping them out as well. They've got one of the DJI guys who was Enterprise at DJI, and he's with them now. I think the product's good. It's just
is that an advantage or a disadvantage?
He knows his stuff.
Yeah,
he really knows his stuff. So he's a good guy to have around.
No, but end of the day, surprising. I wasn't expecting the level of boringness of so when something is boring, it's good.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed. The plane, we had a NOTAM in place, so we could fly up to wherever you wanted. The plane was flying at way above the 400 feet. Sorry. We had a NOTAM in place. Okay. And you could zoom in down to the ground and the plane circling above, and the stupid image would not budge. It's very hard to do, and I was very impressed. So
And it's only $130,000 US, I think.
yeah, somewhere
steal.
around that neighborhood. But
So, Louis, you said boring is good. So why don't we have more views on the stream?
because we have an exciting guy. We have an exciting guy that is always clamoring for kill them, go, pitch and fork, tar and feathers. Come on,
Feather,
you're
yeah.
the tar and feathers guy.
Especially feathers this week, of course. Bruce is referring to the birds that hit. There's something somewhere. Geese, I think, again, wasn't it? Lots of them.
Herons. A 737-800 hit by herons. A flock of herons, the media says, but then someone tells me herons don't flock. So who knows? The media wouldn't be wrong, would they?
Do either. Yeah.
No, that'd be unusual for the media to make a mistake when it comes to reporting things about drones,
of course,
and birds and airplanes.
Of course. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, hit a lot of birds and didn't crash.
Did you say, Gary, that you'd seen some of these new EVA models coming? Because I'd seen something, but I hadn't seen anything confirmed. So
yeah, I saw the little bit of their sort of hint, nudge marketing ready for CES. I can't remember.
All right, so that's probably when they're going to officially. So they got much to launch, man. They just need to get the products into people's hands. People have paid deposits. You know, there's a lot of people have paid up front. I think there has been talk of the prices going up. And that is an interesting conversation because, you know, there's been a huge amount of talk of the Mavic 3 being too expensive. And I actually don't agree with that. I think it is more like where we were in the past. And then some, because there was a period where DJI dropped their prices, and that was to compete with others. Let's be realistic. The Phantom 3 Pro, the Phantom 4, those prices weren't exactly where they should be. You know, Louis?
Compete or kill the others.
We can argue both. Yes, it works both ways. But I actually don't think it's terrible based in the current world. Look at the price of a graphics card. I think the problem is they've released a lot of cheaper drones for 2 or 3 years, which acclimatizes people to lower cost. You know, the most expensive drone they have released has been £1,200. That was the A2S. The rest of them have been between 400 and 700. So people are acclimatized to paying less, and everything costs more. Autel have already hinted that the prices are going up on these new models. I don't think it's crazy. I think drones are going to start to become a luxury purchase again. I think they've probably got too cheap. You know?
Says the accountant's friend. We were selling them too cheap. That's the bottom line. Raise it all.
Look at it. You could get the top of the range drone.
Come on. Have you seen the level of quality that we get from some of the drones? Compare that with what we had to spend 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
All
Come
right.
on.
All right then. All right.
And the same could be said about computers.
It is, and it is supply and demand. You know, at the end of the day, like $2,100 or $2,200 for the Mavic 3 is a lot. It feels a lot. Bearing in mind the Inspire 1 launched at about that price, if I remember, and the Inspire 2 was $3,000. But then again, you have to buy everything else.
Ian, if you wanted to fly as long as you want with the Inspire, you had to buy 2. So
5 packs. Yeah.
But don't forget also we've gone from a world where everybody, when you were buying that Inspire, thought they were going to make an Inspire's worth of money every time they took it out because there were suddenly professional drone aerial photographers. Whereas now everybody's got a good idea that the market ain't really where people thought it was going to be. So things are going to start seeming expensive because you're not going to make that much money out of it.
Look, an iPhone costs. The top of the range iPhone costs £1,400 now.
Wow, that's cheap.
That's the reality of the world we live in today. So actually, if you're talking about it's a flying iPhone, all that technology, it's 2,000 isn't really that crazy. Let's be realistic. But I think you're going to see everyone. I think everything's going to go up. Everything's going to go up. I think the drone industry, the bubble's burst. It has to. How long can you keep buying flight controllers for $25, $30, motors for $12? There was always going to be a point where this industry had to
You
start.
don't reach a point where products start going up again in price, do you? Is that how it works?
Well, I think you do when it's an artificially low price.
Okay.
That's the problem. It's been artificial for donkey's years because you've had, you can argue there's been no innovation in Europe and the US from a consumer point of view, because why would you? When you spend all that time making a product and you're going to make 0% margin,
True. Well, there's some big orders for some blue SUS coming in this week, so that's beginning to stick in the military, police, and fire market in the US. So maybe DJI do have a little bit of a problem, and I've been hearing a lot about some M300s being tried to be used in a delivery role. And of the 15 flights, getting numbers wrong here, that they tried to get through, only 2 of them succeeded. They had 13 failures in a row with an M300 trying to do something.
And Google Drone have just put guns on these.
Have they?
Shoot down the DJIs. Yeah, it's a war out there. It's a war.
Oh, wow. Yes, quite possibly. No, the M300s were being too set up when being flown over 4G, were being too sensitive. If you drop the line, they weren't continuing. They were RTLing.
And I was going to say they're not failing, but they're aborting the mission.
They're aborting the mission. Yeah. So the deliveries did not get through.
I suppose that's an interesting point, because there's got to be at the moment when you lose radio signal, you enter failsafe. So you can time that. You can say, wait, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. The problem is with cellular coverage, you want to maintain connection, but cellular coverage isn't really designed to give full overlap. It does inherently put gaps in the system. So I do wonder how, from a legislation point of view, they're going to cover that.
That's why they're never going to allow it, or they weren't. They were insistent that they were never going to allow command and control over cellular links of any sort, even the Holy Grail of all Holy Grails, 5G. They were insistent, but the only people really running that narrative are the manufacturers. This is not the radio regulators.
Elon Musk controls the future of C2 links.
Yes. Yeah, he does control the future of C2 links. And the irony is, we've got radios that will do 40 kilometers. The RF solution radios here I've got here.
Not through a mountain, no.
Not through a mountain, no. But no, you could argue Elon. Reality is, Elon may be the one that has the solution with all of that satellite coverage.
You can't say that to me now. You're hurting me, boys. You're hurting me. I've got my email pushing the delivery of that back till 2023. So
there's been a shortage. Yeah, he blamed the chip shortage, didn't they?
Yeah, whilst places in America that have got bloody copper wires and fiber lines and whatever else, telcos up the wahoozy. New Zealand, bloody New Zealand.
I went to buy some fast food the other night, and the price has gone up. They've doubled it because of the chip shortage.
Oh yeah. Easier all week. Yeah, no.
See, I'm just looking at the map now. There isn't a point in the UK that isn't covered right now. So technically, Starlink, right? Oh, there is a point right at the top of the north of Scotland, actually. However, right now,
but who cares about the north of Scotland, eh?
Yeah, they can just cut that off and float it off to sea. I
bet if you look at that island, if it's up there, I bet you find they've got some sort of fancy government-backed high-speed link anyway.
Yeah.
Well, they might have the internet delivered by drone.
They could. But the C2 links and what happens is, but what you might do should you find yourself in a position that you have to do such flights, is you might survey the routes first and see where the holes will be, and then make sure you plan your missions accordingly. Know when to continue.
Also, interestingly, on the C2 links, if using any kind of modem while it's attached to an aircraft or in the aircraft, that actually has to be certified for said task. And like you say, at the minute, no chance.
No. It's a nice to have. It can't be your primo control link. It's a nice to have to get pictures and data back from the Anafi AI. If only we knew somebody with an Anafi AI, then we could hear how that might work. But who knows? And that's actually, I'm finding that all a bit weird now. They're having they haven't put a price out for that yet. We can't order one.
When's it due? When's it meant to be coming?
Well, there's training and there's conferences about them. Well, that's great.
When is it?
Well, what about but it's all very well having that. I mean, if you can't get it in your hand,
I have to. Well, I'm wondering if it's the chip shortage part of it, but also I ordered something and basically the order got scrapped because I can't get a courier to send it to me from China. So it looks like this new COVID outbreak is maybe putting a bit of a kibosh on a few things. There's a lot of people saying we could end up with a lockdown, or the way it's affecting other parts of the world, not just the countries we're in. It's starting to cause already interruptions to supply chains.
Well,
that'll happen
affected crypto this week. Crypto went up as a result of COVID. Went down as a result of COVID, I should add. Crypto markets moved. Everything shifting. I had a parcel that finally came from France, and it took 7-8 days, and it should have been 2. So there's something going on. It is affecting stuff.
Yeah,
I've had one sitting in Hong Kong for 3 days. Hasn't moved.
My mining rig's ordered, but it's not here yet.
It's keep with your first world problems.
He's
talking about coal, Gary. Coal.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I don't know what Parrot. It's still a strange company. They make a good product, and I think we all know it and we like it. But I do think it is a little bit strange with that one. Again, it's a product that's been announced. It's been shown. Does it even exist? That's the question. I mean,
even the Anafi is quite good. I mean, we've got the Anafi there.
Not a bad product.
The Anafi is a nice little machine, especially as it fits into that nice little weight class. We imagine if that got its C1 rating, that would be a great little machine for the C1 rated.
I think they'd probably run out of the bling for the makeup bag. I reckon that's what they can't get hold of.
Yeah. Gold is in short supply, mate.
There's a shortage for smooth plastic and bling.
Shut up. We all like bling.
Did he actually just tell you to shut up?
It's the gold dangly chains that come with it. The other bits that are missing at the moment. You can't ship without those. Without your gangster rap jewelry and your grill for your teeth. Don't forget.
It really didn't take much. He took the bait straight away. Shiny smooth controller.
Shiny things.
Shiny things.
What is that? Where are the tassels attached to that?
But yeah, perhaps, mind, as much as we were saying earlier, I don't know what's going on with DJI. Let's be realistic. Everyone else is still making them look good because they've developed product and they've got it into market. And yes, it's not perfect. Yes, it's not doing everything everyone would like. But yet, time and time again, what you can say about the big 3-letter company is they will develop a product which, for the most part, will do exactly what you need it to do. It will work fairly well, if not more, and it will be a very compelling buy. And whilst today the Mavic 3 does feel like they've left half of it in the oven, in January, if that firmware comes, then everyone else is stuffed. Because what Autel are releasing... Sorry.
Is that because DJI makes so much of the machine themselves, whereas the other companies are reliant on external contract suppliers?
Yeah, I do wonder about that. They've had their manufacturing that for years has been very. I remember the Mavic. That something changed at the point of the Mavic. They really got on top of their supply chain and all of that side of things. Let's be realistic. Autel are bringing out 2 competitor models for lower models of DJI. They're not competing with the Mavic 3 here. What they're releasing is to compete with the Mavic, the A2S and the Mini. So Autel's still flagship product remains to be the Evo 2 Pro, which is a very, very good drone. However, it still isn't a Mavic 3, and they're not likely to be doing anything for the next 2 or 3 years. I wouldn't expect anything anytime soon, based in the current world. So again, DJI
Well,
will still be.
they can shrink. They can move into the aircraft world, can't they?
Why are we so ganged up on the Mavic 3 and the advantages and defects of the Mavic 3? I believe that DJI just shot a blank bullet. So the drone is not deserving our time analyzing what they should have done or what they really did. It's not a good drone. It's not worth the money. Cut the price in half, and then we might start looking at it.
So that's a big price cut. I agree with that.
I know it's a big price.
Now, see, Ian, I'd rather go to Louis' shop than your shop because you want the price to go up.
I was on the price increase. I'm not saying it shouldn't be more expensive, but no.
Ian's going back on the affiliate scheme, you see.
That's
not yet. They haven't accepted me yet.
No, then cut the price by 75%, and that includes cutting out the affiliates and
They've already done that.
What's the name?
Did I just say that out loud?
Influencer, and cut the influencer from the game.
I mean, they can make it cheaper. It doesn't have gold on it.
No, it doesn't have lovely smooth. Doesn't have a handbag. Doesn't come with a handbag.
It is interesting that I don't know if we should talk about that or not. Let's go down Pandora's box, shall we? Let's set some more bridges on fire.
Okay.
Let's create some more bridges, shall we?
Fire. Have you guys seen that Skydio is doing a $500 rebate on the Skydio 2?
Yeah.
What does that mean? That means that they are way below the 3-letter new one. Yeah. And that might not for DJI. That means that cutting 50%, like I suggested, makes me their sales director, right?
No, they've just sold so many. They have an embarrassment of wealth, and they want to give some back to the market.
It's all about giving back to the community, isn't it, Bruce?
Yeah,
that's what it's about.
To be a big family, bring everyone into the circle, bring everyone into the tent, and get eaten by a lion.
It is interesting from observations on this. I creep around all of the groups and everything. It's got no traction. From a user point of view, there's no noise in the places there should be noise, and the user groups have ticked along. The YouTube uploads are minimal. Nothing shows any real traction with this product. I'm not saying it's a bad product. I'm just saying from a user point of view, the people who've bought it have bought it. Probably most of them named Brad, because it does feel like it's a
other names are available.
Other names are available now. What I mean by that is I think it's been marketed as the GoPro of drones. It wasn't really marketed as the best camera drone. It was marketed as flying through the trees and all of that stuff. And yeah, they seem to be hitting the wall. Frankly, I'm shocked they're still going to make it. I'm surprised they're not going to bin it and carry on with the blue UAS.
The blue one. Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if Skydio just ticked along. Now, this was never about competing with DJI. This was never, in my opinion, and Adam is a fantastic guy. I think he had his eyes on the prize on day one, and the eye on the prize was blue UAS. That product was to get the money in the bank. That's what that product was, to show someone we can make a product. And that's what that was.
And show the technology as it's worked. Because you've got to remember, nobody had anything like it. I think the Mavic 3 is perhaps approaching. We might be getting a little bit closer with the sensors.
I don't even think it's close.
Come on. And someone in the chat was commenting about going back to the self-made drones. Let's do a quick assessment of the cost of doing a 450 drone with the latest technology. You get one Pixoc, Q. Sorry, Philip. You get the Q. You get one
Nice 32.
The only problem when you do a self build, because you can get the flight controllers and they're amazing. The Cube.
No. Let's put money on that game. Okay. So
let's try and find it. So what we're saying? We're saying the cube orange, are we?
Yeah, I'm pricing it now. So it's 230 quid UK roughly for that, plus
GPS.
another 80
plus
quid
all
for
the
GPS.
accessories plus the earlink.
Frame 120 plus Hearlink, which is what's Hearlink now?
800.
No, it's not. It's been down. I think it's like 6. We'll go with 6.
600 pounds. That's 800 euros. Thank you.
Yeah, that's 720 pounds.
He's in
Oh,
a mood, isn't he?
it's-
He's in
it's
one of
got-
those moods tonight.
Camera's
it's got-
the hard bit.
Yeah, camera's
Getting
the
a
issue.
camera that can
Camera.
do the
Let's
camera. This is
So the
controllable.
Sony RX thing.
Yeah, but
RX
you're
yeah,
gonna have one that is
let's put the
controllable.
Sony ZV-1. That's the cheap one from the RX.
That's the cheap RX 100. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's over
So,
£2,000.
We are already on 4,000 euros, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we get that level of integration between all the parts?
No,
Not remotely, do you?
not even close. Not even close.
Come
Yes,
on,
sir.
guys.
Yeah, but we've got a special use case. We're not going to fly with a standard sensor. We've got a special sensor we've got to fly. We want to fly it for so long and
That's
stretch the
corner
range.
cases.
Or,
Come on, how
Just
many guys do you know that need to fly with a methane gas detector hanging on the drone?
Yeah, they just Velcro to the bottom anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
So the thing is, currently the drones that we buy off the shelf are cheap. For what the 99% of the guys that use the drones want them. So they want them to what? Take nice pictures, do some video. Some do professional video, some do professional pictures with the drone. The current drones are cheap because if you want to do one...
Let's put it another way then. Which people are making the most money out of their drone flying? The people with the off-the-shelf drones or the people with the custom builds and custom sensor payloads? Who's making the most money?
I don't know, but perhaps a 50-50. Because I'm speaking for the guys that use drones for a living, and we took the decision a long time ago of not using custom drones. Because the drone is just a tool that takes up whatever
you're using custom payloads. Though,
Sometimes the operator is just a tool.
So, but the drone itself is a tool. And what you put on the drone, so you have to find an off-the-shelf drone that can take your tool.
That's one of the biggest mistakes.
Sorry,
Louis. That is one of the biggest mistakes that I see made. Is they've got the off-the-shelf drone like a DJI M210, and then they stick a big LiDAR under it that weighs like 2 kilos, and they just take the aircraft beyond its operating capabilities. Beyond its flight envelope. That's one of the biggest mistakes you see with people going, I want an off-the-shelf drone, and then I'm going to strap something to it. That's typically the biggest error that I see.
Okay. I think a brain is required when you take some decisions, and getting an M210 with a yellow scan LiDAR is just shows it just shows that you have lots of money and very little brain. Yeah, for that you need a bigger drone. Come on, I'm on a roll.
Yeah, Mark.
Mute me.
But surely, Louis, the benefit of a bespoke drone, building your own, is that you got consistency of supply. If the manufacturer of your tool decides to not support that model or goes out of business, you're left having to retool, and retooling is really expensive. But if you're making your own tools, you can make sure you're consistently turning out the same product.
Oh God. Oh God!
No, that's not right either. Because
no.
Nothing worse than doing a self-build, right? And you've built 5 machines the same, and then all of a sudden the motor manufacturer disappears, and it's like, damn it! Or the speed controllers suddenly do a change.
But,
and it's like,
but you just get a new supplier of that one component. It's not like you have to have a whole new drone with new processors and manuals and things.
That's it.
No. Come on. And when you standardize on something that is manufactured in China, let's just say your supply may vary at a very fast pace.
Some
So
of my
now,
drones have 4 different motors on them. They're all different manufacturers and sizes and things. They still fly fine.
5 different propellers.
no, the thing is, some of the people on the comments are referring to that. The thing is, when you do 1 or 2, that you can go, or you do 1 or 2 a month. When you go and have to supply customers and self teams 20, 30 a month, going the in-house build is going to be a mess. Yes, and for instance, something that Michael is referring, oh my God, batteries. Oh my God, we still don't have a good strategy that comes near what the off-the-shelf drones offer on batteries. The battery management is, come on, when you have to ship 60 or 80 batteries to have your teams operate continuously, you're not going to want to send 60 or 80 tattoos, chargers, power, the power supplies. You don't want that. You just want standard chargers, standard smart batteries, and that's it.
Yeah, well, Louis Peppermint, Louis not, but he's probably buying 30 M300s at a time. But I'm having to have lots of these around again. I would much rather be playing with some form of a semi-standardized smart battery.
I have a drawer full of 22,000 six cells batteries. Remember the S900? Remember the S1000?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love them.
Oh yeah.
But you see, now that's a great airframe. The S1000, the S900 airframes were very good, especially if you had the metal clips, not the plastic flimsy ones. But those with a cube on them, they make great machines for turning into mapping rigs to carry a LiDAR. You know, get a cube, get a hair link. Those airframes are fantastic.
From those airframes, the best one I had and had the opportunity of using was the S900 with the upgraded motors and arms. It was the most fantastic machine I've ever used.
Yeah, and you know, you put a cube on there, so you got hair link connected and everything for mapping. It's just a great machine. They're so sadly underrated. They got, you know, people go, oh, you see them on eBay now. And it's like, I keep looking for one. If I find one for the right price, I'm having it because it just makes sense for mapping big projects. Like I say, the great airframe.
Which reminds me, let me ask a guy that I know was selling one. Let me ask if he still has it.
Peppermint, why smart batteries? I'll just answer Peppermint. Just because I don't know. I think I feel a bit safer with them now.
Which ones are those?
These are just old 6S things. I just
they're safer now than they've ever been. I think the old style batteries.
Probably, but I think for the end user as well, something that clips in, some sort of clippy in standard it's just all a lot better. I think if you're having a product,
kind of. But I remember back in when I first started out. So we're going right back to 2011, 12. I did my training with a company called Euro USC. Now a few people might have heard of them back in the day. Yes, exactly. It was really funny. So you're in a classroom and they're talking about batteries. Now that battery that you just held up, Gary, they said you could take that battery down to 10%. They said don't take it below 10%, but 10% will be fine. Now there was me and another model flyer, and and Andrew, he now runs one of the REEs actually in the UK. We were both like, no, 20% and stop. Work out your flight time and 20% and that's it. And then they want about fast charging and all this, and like, no, you charge at 1C very gently when your battery's got cool. The understanding around how to look after those batteries now has come a long way as well.
This is all wives' tales. I mean, I take my batteries, I keep flying till it falls out of the sky, and then I charge them on 10C. And my battery, they last 20, 30 charges. There's nothing wrong with it.
20 or 30 charges. If my battery only lasts 20 or 30 charges, there's something wrong. I want 200 charges out of that battery.
Isn't it not a shame though that there's not a better standard clicky in sort of system that's evolved for multi-rotors that's pretty universal?
Yeah, I am actually surprised because those little volt checkers you get, there's little battery ones that you can plug on. I'm surprised no one's built that inbuilt, but inbuilt an XT60 on the end of it.
Batteries.
Done. Make it a very smart, like a smart battery. But don't Tattooey, they now do a smart battery variant.
But I don't want smarts getting in the way of my power delivery. I just want raw power delivery. I don't want something saying, you're getting too low. Let's disconnect you from the aircraft. That's how the Karma went, wasn't it? Isn't that how they did that? They decided to disconnect the battery.
that was
drones, more power.
That didn't turn out well.
That was a physical disconnection, I think, wasn't it? In the Karma.
No, DJI have had issues. Inspire ones were turning off in flight because the smart circuit didn't like the point when the battery hit 3.3 volts when one of the cells sagged, and it had a lovely feature where if one cell hit the LVC, which is the low voltage cutoff, it would go, "Oh, that's not good. We better turn the battery off." Not a good idea in flight. But they fixed that after a little bit of time. But yeah, to be fair, smart batteries are extremely reliable. If you look at how many cycles go on a DJI smart battery now, they haven't been without issue, and DJI have had more than anyone else, but they've sold more than anyone else. The M200 series, the Inspire ones, so they have had issues with their batteries.
But what was the stated battery cycle time for these? Cycle life for the? Yeah, that's not pretty impressive.
It's not 170 quid a piece. Yeah, but that's always been the same.
cycles.
It's always on all DJI batteries. I've always said that. I've said I have 4 videos out there on DJI batteries, and I've always said about 100 cycles. That's always been the case. And when I put that into the FPV drone video, people were like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." But then again, you won't get 100 cycles out of an FPV pack.
No, you won't.
So
I do. Yeah, some of my packs are like 10 years old, and I can still almost hover with them.
Most of mine have gone
I'm on 30 odd with each of these. So
Ian's batteries don't make it to 10 cycles because they blow up on the bench before then.
But most packs are 100 cycles. They're going to start to get really spongy, especially the ones I buy.
Which is interesting when you compare it to electric cars, because they're talking 10-year battery lives. And if you're charging even just once a week, that's a lot of cycles. And I've got lithium ion packs. They don't last much longer, or they don't seem to last any longer than lithium polymers when used in our kind of applications. Admittedly, I'm stressing them a bit, but my LG cells, my 3000 milliamp LG cells, they're not lasting very long.
That's why the electric cars, most of them don't let you charge above 80% of the capacity. And if you want to go charge above 80%, lots of disclaimers come up on the panel. So no, they are treating the batteries right, and you don't do ludicrous mode all the time.
It's the current, isn't it?
Most of the time you drive like an old lady.
So it's interesting. So an electric car, basically, it'll have a 70 kilowatt battery, but you can only access 55 kilowatts because they put that buffer in there to help protect the pack. So they often, electric cars and everything, they have that buffer zone.
And those battery packs aren't dying as quickly as they thought they were going to.
No. The ones that are, it's the mild hybrid MHEVs. They're the ones that are going in short time. So they're the ones which don't have a plug-in charger. So that's like the Toyota Prius and those ones. They're the ones because they're getting really high cycling count. They're only about 20 to 30 kilowatt hour, and they're going in 4, 5, 6, 7 years.
Aren't those the same as the Chevy Bolt on Fire?
I think they're slightly different packs. What's
They
interesting
have
is-
a shorter fuse.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen a battery pack? So every across the top of the batteries, each one's connected by a little fuse wire. Should one play up, it takes that one out. On the Tesla packs, because they're in great big rows, they're all connected by like little wires on top, and it's like a fuse wire. And if one cell plays up, it'll take that one cell out, but the pack can continue to operate.
Yeah, the problem is it is killing. It was in the early days killing full batteries. People have there's been quite a business set up in the US of taking the batteries out, and there's been some interesting things found on the Teslas as well. Some mixing of metal behavior where they wouldn't have expected it, fixings rusting in places where no water should ever be getting or does get. And the guys who've been taking, there's a good YouTube channel who's been stripping a lot of the Teslas down, and
Rich Rebuilds.
You're sorry?
Was it Rich Rebuilds? He does a lot on the Teslas.
He's done a lot, and there's been some really weird issues, like, you know, screws corroded, yet there's no water near there. There should never be water near there. So there's talk of it being the mixed metals thing, and is it as a result of the energy moving through? You know, at the end of the day, that energy is moving through that body of that vehicle, through the ground element. There's always energy. It's passing through bits of it. So it is interesting. I think with our packs, our problem is it's just so high C, isn't it? And that's what has been a killer for DJI. They tend to put their packs about 10 C. We've always believed there to be. So they're always running on the very edge of their capability, hence the short lifespan. I normally set my packs on fire long before they get to 20 cycles. So it's not usually a problem.
Yeah. You know, lipos. I mean, I've got all mine are next door. I don't put mine outside. I keep all mine in the house, because if I put them outside, they get cold or damp, and I don't want that temperature change to happen. I want to keep them at a nice temperature, just in storage voltage, and they're just in the house. My fire alarms aren't working at the moment.
I charge mine in the microwave.
Yeah.
I do, because it's a nice fireproof compartment. You just drill a hole and let the wires out. It's fantastic. But you don't use the microwave to charge it.
I haven't seen that. We've all seen a nail going through them, but now I know the video that I want to see.
Microwave.
I want to see the microwave life.
I'll see what I can do on the weekend, Gary.
Yeah.
You'd have to stand back from that, wouldn't you?
It works for iPhones. Apparently, it works for iPhones. Wireless charging in the microphone and in the microwave. Give it over, Ian. I want to see your.
I have got a pack, because that pack, you know, that binned the aircraft, the one I had the crash on, Bruce, with the FPV. That pack is still over there. It went down to less than 3 volts a cell. It just fell over. So I have been thinking of doing a video on that one and setting it up somehow. I don't fancy destroying. How cheap can you buy a microwave?
They're $60 in New Zealand. They're cheap as beans. You'd almost get that back from the video if it was a viral.
This is what I'm thinking. I'd probably get the ad revenue back on that one.
You would if you said at the beginning, please watch all the adverts, because I'm about to spend the money.
I'm about to spend money.
How can you make it long enough to put a mid-roll every 2 minutes and collect thousands of dollars? Slow-mo.
The question would be,
your microwave. Sorry,
can put a camera in there. Yeah.
Well, how to do it even cheaper? Go onto Facebook Marketplace, find a local second-hand microwave really cheap, and then you'll probably save even more money. He's doing it.
If it's on Facebook Marketplace, it'll be a rip-off. They'll take your money and you'll never get your microwave.
No, mate, like the magnetron will burn out before the pack does, because magnetrons they don't like metal, so it's a thing of one or the other. The full mic can be held up long enough.
You need your SWR meter.
You guys won't know this. Believe it or not, I am a qualified microwave engineer, so I know quite a bit about microwaves. But did you know if you cut a grape in half and put it in a microwave upside down with a glass over the top, it will create plasma?
Yeah.
Well,
we've all done that. Yes.
Yeah. I am I am a qualified microwave engineer.
Will it do it with a glass of wine though? That's the real question.
Because so it's just turning it upside down that's harder. That's
Here is actually a microwave leakage tester. I actually own microwave leakage testers, just in case. Haven't you got one of them?
Well, there you are. You've got to have one of those ready to start.
You can tell when our microwave leaks, all the stuff the water runs out on the floor. Don't need no fancy measurements for that.
Ian, that means that if you can get something from your microwave experiment, you can also patent it as a quick way of charging batteries. So get a large enough microwave oven and put a
that's
700 watts going to be enough. It's 44 quid. So it's 44 quid.
Well, what happens if you get...
Yeah, I'll race you to do the video, eh? Because I've got a microwave sits up on top of my fridge at the hangar, and I only ever use it for shooting down planes. Got the door, Jimmy. And
I just want to check no one's already done this.
Can I just ask, right? If you did
Thank God there's no one watching this.
If someone did a cross-link with your videos, so if Ian then pointed to
Samsung,
Bruce pointed to Ian's, would that make your...
It would make the batteries blow up quicker.
People have done it already.
Oh, have they?
Yeah.
There's nothing new in the world.
There isn't.
No.
And to be honest, they got poor views as well. Shocking.
Well, that just means they didn't do it right. They didn't. No. You won't believe what happens next. With a pretty girl in a bikini.
It's a good thumbnail.
Oh, hey, I got on my feed this morning. I got a video of some girl doing yoga, and it said millions and millions of views, and it's obvious why. It's really obvious why. She's got a little comment pinned. For some reason, I'm now unable to post videos to this channel. And people, it's an exercise yoga thing in the comments. It's hysterical. If you see it, watch it. I think it's got 20 million views or so. It is just unbelievable. What she thinks she's doing one thing, and all the people watching think something else is happening. And it is worth a watch. Not for the lure of nature, but
Ian, I'm your friend, and I just went to Amazon. You can buy one for 50 quid.
50 quid, yeah, I can get it at Argos 44, which isn't bad. But no, someone's done it. It's boring. What can you do?
Oh, there we are. Well,
Will it blend? Has anyone done it? Do you remember the Will It Blends? Will It Blend used to be. I used to love them. Did you ever see Blend Tech? They used to blend anything that used to come out. And the guys, it was literally Will It Blend. £1,000.
Also, there was Will It Flash. Will It Flash was another good one. I've just seen Gary link to that video if he wants to watch it in a private moment. It's on YouTube. It can't be that bad.
Oh no! Old Duff is talking nonsense.
It's in the private chat. Everyone can watch it. I want to see the expressions on your face.
Oh, all right then. I'm rude for birds. Oh, I see. No, there'll be a moment.
Yeah, in the comments.
I see what the target. Hang on, I'll try and share it with the world here. It seems unfair on our viewers not to share it out.
I'll save that one for later.
There we are. Oh, who did I make go? Ian went. Mark went.
He's going to have a moment now, isn't he? Yes.
he just went.
He couldn't wait.
I didn't get rid of him, did I? I don't think I did. I might have done. I'm like that. I can be like that. So, what else have you seen this week? Now we are definitely digressing.
Nothing. It's been very quiet, hasn't it, from the drone on the drone front? Very quiet. I see someone demonstrated mounting a bazooka on their drone to shoot vehicles, but that's he's back.
Yeah. He's back. There's again another week of the last 3 weeks have been identical. People have been complaining about Mavic 3, and nearly all the stories that are interesting are about delivery drone projects of one or another, and new ones coming. Yeah, people at AV just launched a new thing today. But yeah. That seems to be where the money is now.
The one that you did mention earlier, Gary, DJI have reopened their affiliate program. They've sent emails out, so that isn't a secret in itself.
I think you mentioned that, not me.
I mentioned that. Not me. Yeah, they have sent it out, but they've sent it out to public. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that, because I have heard they opened it early to some key players, let's just use that word I'll use, who may have been involved with the launch of a product. I can't imagine why you'd want to do that, but anyway, I have heard that was the case. It was opened early to some people. I can see it was because people are posting links. You know, at the end of the day, those of us who've been doing this isn't stupid. What they have said to anyone who was involved with it before, and I was involved with it before, to reapply. So that's what they've asked everyone to do. I've still not heard anything yet. It will be interesting to see how it goes. I talked about it on last live stream, whether how I will do things will be different if it goes back in. But I will be honest, and whilst I'm not going to say the numbers involved, the numbers are less from what I've seen. So even the question mark remains, is it even worth it right now? I would argue that for the numbers involved compared to before. And DJI published what the numbers were before publicly. It was around 5%. It was what it was before, and that was published on the front of the website. So I'm not giving nothing away there. However, the numbers I'm seeing now are substantially less than that. Substantially. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see if they even let me in. And I'm going to say either way. So they may or may not like how that ends up, having been part of it for 10 years. And I don't see why they should be turning anyone down who isn't a scammer, frankly. Unless you're scamming, if you're providing genuine content, you should be allowed to be involved. And we'll see what happens with that. So, but at the end of the day, they can pick and choose what they want.
Do you think they missed it then, this last launch?
I found it interesting that the email came out after the launch of the product, about a week and a half after. So again, all of this does tie into how's it gone? Oh, something's not going. Let's give it a push there. Let's give it a push there. As I've said today, I've seen a dealer offering £300 discount on the Fly More combo in the UK. So already 2 weeks you can get £300 off.
So does DJI make dealers take a minimum quantity when they buy stuff? In that case, maybe they're sitting there and it's not moving. I think we've got to free it up for Christmas stock or something. Yeah.
I believe yes, but there is only like one major player, as I understand it, in the UK. That DJI, my understanding is they have a distributor partner in the UK for this market, and all sales are through them. So I wouldn't imagine some of the smaller dealers would be under that restriction, but that doesn't mean they didn't load themselves with stock. And I do wonder if they thought this is going to, the new Mavic 3, everyone's been waiting for this and ordered 10 in. And if they've shifted 1 or 2, that's a lot of money to sit there. You know, let's be realistic. 10 Mavics is 20 grand in stock.
That's your entire YouTube earnings for a month, isn't it?
It day, Bruce. Come on, to be realistic.
That's right, because you hit a new benchmark. Then you've got a new total subscriber count. You need to brag about
one.
quick! Everyone subscribe. Yeah.
But yeah, so I wouldn't be shocked if Let's be realistic. If you're a dealer and you're holding 10 Mavics, that's 20 grand without even accessories held up in stock. That's an awful lot of money this time of year. It's an awful lot of money, especially if you thought they were going to sell like hotcakes. You thought you were going to do a quick flip.
As mentioned in the comments, I think Peppermint, somebody asked anyway, whoever was asked in the comments earlier, how do we think Christmas sales are going to go? Well, I think they're going to go the same as they're going to go next Christmas, the following Christmas, the following Christmas.
I believe the most sales would be on the small ones, the Mini 2 and the Air 2S.
Yeah,
and I can see quite a shift towards the Air 2S, and people trying to buy desperately Mavic Pro 2s like crazy, and the Mavic Pro 2s used going up in price.
Do you know I've got two Mavic 2 Pros sat here, and I deliberately went out and got secondhand Mavic 2 Pros deliberately because there's nothing apart from my Phantom 4 Pro which matches them.
Yeah, no. The thing is, you might have got them. If you sell them now, you'll make some buck because their price is going up on the used market.
Well, I've got a smart remote controller with the one I bought, so I only paid like £800 for a smart controller, a Mavic 2 Pro with Fly More kit. You know, I paid £800 for them together. It's like, hang on a minute, it's a bit of a bargain, and it's fantastic, and it's a great machine. You know, like I say, it's only slightly different from the Phantom 4 Pro due to the camera.
I played Santa on the weekend for the local Lions Club. So I played Santa. Not one kid asked for a drone. What does that tell you?
I don't think they're a big thing. And you know, I think Christmas, the Mini will probably sell well, as it should do.
Yeah, Mini 2.
But I think anything else, the Mavic 3 is too expensive to be a Christmas gift for most people, I would say. At the pricing it's at, it's not Christmas gift money, is it?
No.
It's you know,
it's enthusiast money, isn't it? It's pro and enthusiast grade. It's definitely that level of product, and it's you know, I would have usually jumped in on it. I'm holding back right now. It isn't even the right time for me. You know, if I look at the time of year, the weather.
And by the way, if you hadn't bought the FPV one, you would probably get more easily the Mavic 3. But now with the FPV one, just that killed lots of enthusiasts' wish to get the Mavic 3.
Yeah, I'd have had the money if I hadn't bought the FPV one. Well, that's the reality.
So would a lot of other people. I mean, it'd be interesting to see, you know, are we going to get an FPV version 2?
No.
That'd be interesting.
No.
And, you know, will we see a Mini 3 in the first quarter of next year? I don't think so. I think it might be a bit later than that. Because
is anyone buying the FPV drone anymore? Like, it's sold a lot around the launch and things, but I think it's something that's already reached the end of life from a sales perspective.
And we are forgetting one vital thing, which is the regulations of the C classification for the drones. And until that thing is set, putting a drone outside might not be the smartest move that they can do. And I'm surprised that the Mavic 3 doesn't have a C rating.
And also remote IDs coming up in the USA. And although they've got this system built into the DJI drones, you can almost guarantee the US government will try and find a way to produce a remote ID that isn't compatible with the DJI's hardware. You know, so, guess you have to buy an add-on or you won't be able to.
Come on, Bruce. You know, the what's inside that, it's you should read the articles by Ian about software-defined radios. So Ian carefully explained how the Mavics work. It's an SDR, so you can put whatever you want on the outside.
Oh, you're on the outside. What about inside?
Broadcasting.
Yeah, no, he's not going to join in. He's not going to join in.
No, he's fallen asleep again.
No,
but sorry, I mean, the thing is,
that was more of a history on. There's been a lot of questions on why none of it works with each other, and that was the goal of that. And the video's gone up today on that, where the video walks through all of the hardware differences and where it's ended up. But that isn't it's not a tech. We don't know exactly what DJI are doing. All we know is what they're running it on, and we don't even fully know that either, because let's just say I've had some interesting contacts in the last few days regarding some of that information, and maybe DJI are not using a custom ASIC. Perhaps it's not custom. Perhaps it's something they just don't want us to know what it is. And we'll have, it's really hard to know at the end of the day. We've got many companies who relabel chipsets or mask them. It's a game that's been played for years, isn't it, Bruce?
Well, Squishy says DJI is on the deck and such. So no, they're not on the deck anymore. They got booted off.
Yeah.
Nope.
They did get booted off. In fact, the DAC is, I don't know.
Does that still exist?
It's the AAA now, something, isn't it? They've changed it because we've got to be inclusive and gender neutral.
And the RAF changed. I think you said a couple of weeks ago they have changed something now too. I can't remember what they've changed. They made pilots gender neutral.
It's the Royal Air Persons.
Did you guys see the video of that F-35, by the way, falling off
Yeah.
that boat? Is
Yeah,
it
it
me,
just-
or does that look awfully slow?
No, it's just what I was going to say.
Very
Looks
slow.
like
Does that just not look like it's rolled off the end of a ship? Do you know what I mean?
that could be one way of putting it. You know, people saying, foreign object damage, that some cover wasn't removed and blew up. Rubbish.
Well,
That
cheap
was
as
just-
beans anyway. Who cares?
Someone forgot to pull the handbrake up. That's what it
Yes,
looks like.
yeah, that's right, yeah. No, I think on those, I think it's a concrete block on a bit of string, and he probably just didn't pull it in quick enough.
Chocks away. Jolly good.
Exactly.
It literally goes off the end of the ship, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and he was ready to go on the handle, wasn't he? Because as it was, he was ready to go. As it was going up the ramp, and knew that wasn't going well.
The takeoff speed must be faster than that. That cannot be the takeoff speed.
Well, it could be a vertical takeoff.
Yeah, they got
but
the thrust.
Yeah, but it wasn't doing that.
Oh,
So do you think he was going for the vert and then it would have done that, and it didn't?
That's how the what are they? The British vertical takeoff thing. That's how it took off. Wasn't it? Yeah, they had these lot of vertical thrust up that little ramp.
Yeah, then they could take off with a full weapon load. With a slight roll and
So the UK, because of the Harrier jump jet, to get its payload and get its weight, they couldn't build big carriers. They wanted to make a shorter carrier. That's why British carriers always have the ramp. So we don't have to have them so big, and we don't have to have big catapult systems like the Americans do.
I'm now looking at the takeoff. Yeah, it can do like a slow run and just like
but
that.
not that slow.
No.
Yeah, it's like
Not that slow.
Maybe it was cold and he didn't pull a choke out.
Yeah, I'm sure it's something like that. Definitely something like that. Yeah, it does. That doesn't look like it was. That's looking like he should have said, "Oh, better retard the throttle right now" as he started rolling up the ramp.
You would think he would have known before he got to the bottom of the ramp, wouldn't you?
Oh, that's it. Darovan's got an interesting one. Start pulling the brakes midway. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That would.
We've got that downward thrust. There wouldn't be much. The brakes wouldn't be very effective, would they? If you got a lot of down thrust, lift thrust.
Yeah.
Because that chap revealed it's the Harrier video, I think, but that chap that's making the very, very nice radio control ones put another video up this week, didn't he? Of how he's doing it. He's doing a great job with that. Yeah, no, and then of course the worry is that fell off the end of the ship so slowly that the ship drove over it. There could be an awful lot of damage.
So it won't be coming on the show.
No, and it's because they're desperate to get it back from the bottom of the Ogden now as well, aren't they? Because it's full of all stuff. So I should imagine every submarine, every nation with submarines has made haste to the area. And
the only good news is it's salt water, so that will destroy the electronics. That
there must be
only blessing.
There must be, considering they're operating in an environment where there's a lot of salt in the air. They must be proofed against that to some degree, though.
Yes.
Well, hopefully, if the ship hit it and damaged it, then.
Well, I reckon hitting the Ogden won't have done it much good.
I've just watched the video. You see it slow as he was going up the ramp. It does definitely slow as it goes up, but because the nose sort of already goes straight over, so there was clearly no lift on the wing, because as soon as it does, it just falls over the edge. But yeah, he starts to go, and then you can see it slow, and then it just not enough space and falls off the edge of the ship.
Let's hope they don't dock his wages to get the money back.
What was it? 100
million.
Chris, iForce 2D makes a very valid point. Who the hell would want to copy that thing? It's a bag of anyway. It's rubbish.
We bought them. We bought them.
Conformal coating. You can see the bloke.
It's amazing how the UK aerospace industry has changed, because they were selling Harriers to the US, and now the US is selling these dogs to the English. It's terrible.
It's ridiculous. We designed the Harrier. It's one of the few aircraft in combat that wasn't sonic. So it was subsonic. It couldn't go speed of sound. But in combat, there's very few planes that could touch it You know, if you
Because they could viff the Harrier, couldn't they?
They could
remember
do
that in the
some really
Falklands. It was all
cool
about viffing, vertical in flight, something or other. I forget what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, gave them an
Well, they must
advantage.
know where it is. It fell off the back of the ship, so they must know where it was at that point in time.
Front of the ship.
Front of the ship.
Fell off
Sorry,
the
yes,
front.
they ran over it. So literally, they had a perfect GPS marker. Right?
Well, they're lucky the ship didn't sink as well.
Yeah, but surely they should have just
2 for
dropped anchor and just that would have probably picked it up back up again and just drag it behind them. You know.
Oh yes,
keel hauling is not a
the
thing.
Royal Navy fishing vessel bloody aircraft carriers with great big nets behind them.
Yeah, you know,
What's
drop
he
the
got
anchor,
there?
that'll grab it.
This is Louis. That's his Louis field, isn't he? He's a naval chap, and Donovan saying you can't with a slope, you can't launch AWACS and supply planes, but we haven't got any in the UK.
No, yeah, we don't. Well, the AWACS used to be based just over there. It's about.
No, he's talking about the little ones that they have on the backs on the Nimitz class things. I can't remember what they're called.
Oh, they're bonkers, though, the Nimitz. They're just, they are different. Have you seen the Ford? Have you seen the Ford carriers? Holy.
No, I'm more of a Toyota man myself.
Well, aren't the Ford carriers designed to cross streams?
I'll tell you what, when you look at the Ford, because that's nuclear powered, the Fords are nuclear powered. They are just monsters. The size of them, 13 billion a ship. 13 billion.
Well, they have more aircraft. Certainly, when I was in, they had more fighters on the Nimitz class aircraft than we had in the Royal Air Force, and that's 30 years ago. So, on a single carrier. Oops.
A massive point of vulnerability, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, true. Yeah, eggs and baskets come to mind.
Well, a single biplane with a torpedo could take that out.
So
Bring the swordfish. Send the swordfish.
So here's a really interesting thing. They sent an F-35 to replace the one that went in the drink, but the one that's replaced it is Italian. It came from the Italian Air Force and was flown in, and they're flying off the ship because Elizabeth has American planes on it, UK planes, and now an Italian plane flying off it. And we don't have enough planes to put on it ourselves.
Oh, really? And of course, we've all forgotten that big drone incident with that when it was docked in on the Clyde, was it? And the chap landed on the deck, flew his Phantom up, put it on the deck or whatever it was, and then flew on again. And there weren't any regulations or anything, no danger areas or anything in place around. That was a few years ago.
And thousands died.
Thousands and thousands died. That's why China are building targets that shape for practice. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Nuclear power for drones, remote ID, that FAA, the remote ID is coming. It's coming like an aircraft carrier that won't stop when you've rolled over an F-35. It's steaming towards us, ladies and gentlemen, anytime soon. Merlins. Yeah.
It comes to something when you run over your own plane, doesn't it? It's
like they didn't back up and run over it again.
Yeah. So we are definitely talking
scrape down the front of the ship as it went down, and it's just a scratch down the front.
Yeah, just imagine what the insurers will say. Never raced or rallied. We're definitely talking nonsense. It's definitely time to go. Before we go, are there any other? Go ahead.
What about all those stories in the media popping up at the moment about vilifying drones and the risk of crashing with airplanes and all this stuff, and the misinformation, the EW Scripts, that newsy organization which has that journalism policy thing that they will respond to complaints and they will fix errors, and I went through all the processes and nothing has changed. It's like we wrote all these things about ethics guidelines and we just ignore them, and again they just thought slow news day, let's say drones are going to bring down airliners, and what do we do? How do we fight this?
It's really hard, isn't it? Because negative news sells. That's the problem we've got. Although there was a great story in the UK where that guy was found by a police force. The gentleman had dementia, as I understand it. He was out and he obviously got lost from where he was. The police put up a drone. They found him in a cold, damp night. They probably saved his life. and got him home safely. And there was a call, that all police departments in the UK should have a drone department. And I think most of them have now, but they have saved so many lives. And why these stories don't make the news more, it's very sad that it's very much the negative that they want to sell, not the positive. It's very sad that that's the way our news is now. All news, it has to be depressing and sad, and it's very.
Well, they did a survey and found that 67% of UK people saw drones in a positive light, which I found was interesting.
It was daytime. That's why they saw it on positive light. It was daytime. So come on. I can also do whatever poll you want, and I can get the answers I want. You know that better than me. Come on.
I mean, also locally. So again, locally, I've got RAF Scampton, I've got Waddington, and then we've got Coningsby, which is the rapid response just down the road from me. It's about 12 miles from me. They have a place called Tattershall Lakes, which is right next to the base. It's actually on the approach and takeoff, depending which way they're using the runway. They've had to put up around this big campsite, do not use drones, because it's in the flight restriction zone, but people are just flying drones, and it's been causing a bit of a problem. So at the minute, the campsite, they've gone around putting up all the signs saying, look, do not fly. You're in a flight restriction zone, basically.
Well, the Hampshire.
I know something that you don't have, Mark.
Pardon?
You said you have all those airfields, but I know something that you don't have. You don't have Barbados anymore. So
don't have what?
Barbados.
Oh, Barbados. Oh, Barbados. Yeah.
Oh, Barbados. So what was really sad about right? Don't get me wrong. Right, China has paid for what they've done. Right, so China's paid the 500 million or whatever. That's fine. But I thought it was very sad when Prince Charles apologised for destroying their economy because we stopped slavery. Right. Let's not forget. Right, the country that said slavery stops because our king basically said no one's going to be owned by anyone else because, I'm king and that's the way it should be. And we set out across the seas and we stopped. We helped put an end to slavery. We were one of the few countries that were doing it back then. It's amazing when we suddenly we have to go and apologise. Don't get me wrong, we weren't perfect, but come on, we were there fighting for the good. And how quickly people forget.
Yeah, but you've got to apologise for even the things you didn't do these days. Otherwise, you're not woke enough.
Oh, don't. Have you seen? So the Navy is now calling the pilots aviators.
Yeah, and the Air Forces as well.
Yeah, the Air Force is now calling everything aviators. And so we're all going wokey woke where people can't understand a word and its terminology. So unmanned basically means no crew. It doesn't have anything to do with a sex, but because it's got the word man in it, you've got to take that and be offended so we can take it and throw it in the bin. And we can have a new word that you can't misinterpret and you don't have to look up in a dictionary to understand how it works. It's very sad how the world's going.
We're focused on the minutiae of the problems, but not the big problems.
Yeah, we'll fix this little so-called, but it's not a problem, is it? Is the word unmanned really a problem?
Well, I'm personally offended. Yeah.
I don't know, but I'll just hop back to somewhere here. Search and rescue helicopters mentioned. I don't know if they were or they weren't, but I follow the HEMS, the hospital aircraft for I think it's the Bournemouth area, and somebody was moaning at them for flying past their house at low level early in the morning en route to the hospital. It's just beggars belief, doesn't it? It's like, what do you think they're doing? Are they joyriding round town at 4 a.m?
Mind you, police have been caught out joyriding and using their cameras to take bad pictures and things. So
they have.
But I mean, the air ambulance is a different ball game. You know what I mean? They are on a mission a mission of, an important errand. They're trying to save someone's life. Hell, I mean, they fly over my house. I get it because the air ambulance is based at it's just outside the Waddington base now, but they've got a new area, 2 helicopters in Lincolnshire now. And often, because I've got the A46 sat behind me where people can't drive, so they like to crash just back here quite nicely. It's one of the things they do in Lincolnshire because we can't drive in this county. And the air ambulance often flies over the top of the house. Well, it must be once a month minimum, maybe twice a month. And it's a typical way to the main routes. And you don't mind it because you know that it's saving someone's life. And that could be you one day. Yeah. That person that complained, the backlash was unbelievable.
Yeah, so it could be there. Look, we are definitely talking around all over the place now. And Chris I-42, if you're still here, you should have been here last week because we had a man that needs your help. So watch last week's one, Chris, and get in touch with our high-speed FPV flyer. Any more, gentlemen? Go once.
M300 has an update, everyone. So read it before you do your update.
There we are.
Be brave. Be brave.
Look at Louis.
Yeah.
Yes, Louis, you've got an M300 update if you want to do it.
Yeah.
That's cool. Will it take Karma batteries now?
Well, look at Louis frozen at the prospect of doing it. Look, he's just gone.
He has to.
He's just updated.
Let's see. Oh, he's there. He's updated. He's back with us now. So going once, going twice. Divvy or wherever you are in the world. Look after yourselves. Be careful out there. This new variant's not as bad as you think. It really isn't as bad as you think. We'll catch you all again, 2100 GMT next week. Look after yourselves. See you next week. Bye-bye. Second button. There we go.